Hi, and welcome to What's the Tea? We certainly got a lot to talk about in the world of pro wrestling and in the world of sports. So, hope you guys enjoy this one and hope you join me because it is tea time. Alright, so let's talk about the Super Bowl. Really, the one thing I can just say is that defense still wins championships. Because no matter how innovative these play callers and offensive coordinators get, you still cannot underestimate the value of a good defense. Because this game was defense right from the get-go. Seattle and New England both struggled trying to get something going. The Seahawks kicked 5 field goals and still found a way to win this, as Kenneth Walker started to run wild in the second half, and this offense finally got some things going. Eventually, Sam Darnold threw a touchdown pass to A.J. Barner, and it was just over from there. The Patriots tried to come back, but no, Patriots fans, I'm just going to say this. You don't have Tom Brady, you don't have Bill Belichick. It is not 28-3 all over again. No. That was not going to happen. Because Seattle's defense had been beaten up on Drake May all game long. Ramondre Stevenson, Trevion Henderson were pretty much kept in check in terms of the run game. So, it was kind of too little too late for the Patriots. But I will say, they put up a good effort in the second half, especially that fourth quarter. So I'll give credit where credit is due. And as much as I have a known disdain for the New England Patriots, I gotta give credit where credit is due, man. Heck of a run. That's pretty outstanding to go from 14 losses a year ago to all the way to the Super Bowl now. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Congrats to the Patriots on a great season. Mike Vrabel did one heck of a job turning this team around. And it's pretty crazy to say that Sam Darnold is the first of his quarterback draft class to win a Super Bowl. I'm so happy for that guy, especially after everything he's been through with the Jets, going to the Panthers, going to the 49ers, and then winding up in Minnesota, then going to Seattle and doing what he's done. It's pretty amazing, man. So congrats to Sam Darnold. Congrats to the Seahawks. Absolutely amazing performance. And another amazing performance that took place was the halftime show. Bad Bunny, that was just amazing. And I've had a lot of love and respect for that guy since WrestleMania 37, when he wrestled a tag match with Damian Priest against The Miz and John Morrison. And this man can go in the ring. He was busting out destroyers like there was no tomorrow. This man is just incredible. And I love just the overall message and what Bad Bunny really tried to do with this. It was a great representation of the culture in Puerto Rico and just Spanish culture in general. I think it was just a great performance. Because you had a lot going on, you had different people involved in this. And even though I really couldn't understand any of the lyrics, although I did take Spanish class in middle school and high school, so I understood like half of the lyrics, what it was actually saying, I still really enjoyed this. And it was really cool Lady Gaga to come out and help Bad Bunny with this halftime performance as well. Really shows that the unity is alive and well in the music industry. You love to see it, man. And I love the message at the end that there's nothing, or that the only thing more powerful than hate is love. I absolutely agree with this, and this is something that we need to hear, especially with the craziness going on in the world. And I'm not going to get into politics on this, but we just need to really hear that, because it's a good message and it's just very positive. I love when halftime shows do this. So, Bad Bunny, Lady Gaga. Round of applause for you guys and everybody involved. And yeah, those are my overall thoughts on the Super Bowl. And one more thing, Green Day in the pregame concert, they were amazing. I didn't even know they were going to do the pregame concert. And I'm just sitting there watching and I hear Boulevard of Broken Dreams, American Idiot, which are two of my favorites. The third one I can never name, and it was the one they started with. But it was good too, from what I heard. But yeah, Green Day was just amazing. Overall, just a great Super Bowl. Maybe not in terms of the game, but a great defensive showcase, a great halftime show, and yeah, just overall a great Super Bowl 60. Congrats to the Seahawks. So, shifting gears, as we are now in WrestleMania season, and you know what that means. It's time for pure speculation about what the matches are going to be on the card for WrestleMania 42. And the first one I'm going to start with is Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. I think this would be a great match to have on the card because the story kind of writes itself. Liv lost the Women's World Championship to Rhea on the first Raw's Netflix. Rhea lost the title to Io on Raw a couple months later, and then Io successfully defended the title at WrestleMania against Bianca and Rhea in arguably one of the best matches of 2025, hands down. And then Io just had a lot of title defenses and then lost the title at Evolution against Rhea when Naomi cashed in Money in the Bank. Again, another amazing moment from 2025. And Evolution was just overall an amazing show. We definitely gotta do something else on it at some point, too. But yeah, you just kind of look at it, and then looking at it too, Liv gets hurt 2 weeks before Evolution, and apparently she was supposed to have a one-on-one match with Nikki Bella at Evolution, which would have been interesting. But then you kind of look at it this way. Liv was kind of trying to get back in the picture to get her Women's World Championship back, and then she gets hurt. And what happens after Liv gets hurt? Io loses the title to Naomi. Then Naomi, after SummerSlam, has to relinquish the title because she finds out that she's pregnant. And at WrestlePalooza, Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer wrestle for the vacant title. And again, another amazing match. And Stephanie Vaquer wins the Women's World Championship. So now this is kind of where you're at. As Liv Morgan comes back at Survivor Series War Games in San Diego, and then goes on to win the Women's Royal Rumble, and now has a heck of a choice to make. Does she choose Stephanie Vaquer and get her Women's World Championship back, or does she choose Jade Cargill and go to SmackDown and fight for the WWE Women's Championship, which is a title she's never held technically, because remember, she held the SmackDown Championship. That is the title she held before everything else that's happened in her career. Because she cashed in on Natalya at she cashed in on Ronda Rousey at Money in the Bank in 2022, I want to say. I think that's right. Not exactly sure, but this is kind of where we're at now, is who will Liv choose? And there was kind of this interesting picture I saw the other day on Facebook where this person posted two pictures of Liv Morgan. The first one is Liv with Stephanie Vaquer, and she's just locked in. She's got this angry expression on her face, like, I really want my Women's World Championship back. And then there was one with her and Jade Cargill, and she's kind of a little further away from her. And it's like, you kind of wonder if Liv has her mind made up in terms of who she'll face at Mania. And honestly, I think the right choice is her facing Stephanie Vaquer, because that match could steal the show. Liv has started to really impress me with her in-ring work. And Stephanie, I've been a fan of her since I saw her work in the Indies and her work with New Japan. She's just amazing. I think you put these two together and you're going to have a WrestleMania classic on your hands. So I would love to see Liv pick Stephanie. And that's the bottom line on that. And the next match that could potentially happen at WrestleMania that may or may not already be confirmed, actually. Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. Now you kind of take a look at the history. Roman needed CM Punk to join his team for War Games in 2024. Let's remember that. And then since then, we've had a lot of stare downs and moments between these two. And these two were actually part of a triple threat match, which main evented night one of WrestleMania with Seth Rollins. So there's a lot of history there that really could be told for a good story. And you even go further back, when CM Punk was still part of the company before he left the first time, Roman Reigns was part of the Shield with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And they kind of had some battles at times as well, early then. But we've never really seen a match like this between Roman and CM Punk. And I think this would be a great match to have. Because you've got a lot of history there. Especially with the fact that these two are former Paul Heyman guys. CM Punk had Paul Heyman as his manager for a while. Roman Reigns, when he was the tribal chief, he had the wise man, Paul Heyman. So, there's just a lot of history there. And I think these two could really put on a great match for Mania. But the one request I'm going to say with this match, do not, under any circumstances, get Cody Rhodes involved and turn this into a triple threat. Because this should just be between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. This is something that has been brewing for such a long time, and it's time for it to finally happen. Roman versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. It doesn't get any better than that. And Cody, yeah, he's one of my guys. I love the guy. But listen, I just think there's so much more you could do with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania besides putting him in the main event again. Because let's remember, he's been in the main event for WrestleMania 39, WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania 41. I don't really think we need this 4 years in a row. Besides, you could do Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, for instance. And that's a match that people have wanted to see at WrestleMania for a very long time. And now you could finally get it. Cody versus Randy, one-on-one. There's so much history there that needs to be finally told in the ring. I really want to see this. Because when Randy came back from his back surgery, this was kind of something I'd been thinking about for a long time, was, hey, when are we going to get Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania? Because to me, that's an absolute dream match. You gotta have it. I think that'd be a great match to have. And potentially, if that's not the person you put him against, well, there are other things you can do with Cody Rhodes. But by the time I'm recording this, he's actually qualified for the Elimination Chamber alongside Randy Orton. So you could possibly build a Cody versus Randy match in Chicago at the Elimination Chamber by having Randy eliminate Cody or Cody eliminate Randy or something else pretty crazy happening. But yeah, I think these two matches, you put them on the card, you've really got at least 2 or 3 good matches in terms of building up the card for WrestleMania 42 and trying to do better than last year at Mania 41. But yeah, I think those would be 2 good matches to have at Mania. So getting on to another potential Mania match. WWE is trying to figure out what to do with the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania. And the problem is just this. I think originally they wanted Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. And again, by the time I'm recording this, Bianca Belair has had surgery to repair her hand that has kept her out of action since after Mania 41. So now the question is, will Bianca Belair be ready in time for Mania 42? I'm gonna say no, probably. So WWE is kind of scrambling right now, trying to figure out who should face Jade at Mania. And there are some potential candidates here. The first one I've heard is Tiffany Stratton. And those two faced off at SummerSlam. They faced off at Saturday Night's Main Event when Jade finally won the title. They faced off in a triple threat on SmackDown against Nia Jax as well. And I just kind of look at this and go, it's been done already. I just don't see how this match is redeemable in the sense of trying to run it back at Mania, because we've seen it already. We've kind of been there and done that, and it's like, I don't see how this works at WrestleMania. So let's move on. The next one is Charlotte Flair. Now, this has been teased many times, especially the first time Jade was on SmackDown. You had that segment with her and Charlotte where Charlotte goes, oh, it will be, as in, it will be her pleasure of beating her one day at WrestleMania, potentially. So you've had that. And then afterwards, you've had these encounters where Charlotte's making her entrance and Jade's just standing on the ramp. Jade's making her entrance and Charlotte's standing on the ramp looking at her title. Like, there is potential for this. And I get it. I see exactly what people see with this. You have these two really dominant forces in the women's division going at it one-on-one, potentially at WrestleMania. I get it. I get why people want to see this. But me personally, I just kind of look at this and go, it's not a bad option, but there's also the thing with Alexa Bliss, and this is where I add her into the mix here. Charlotte and Alexa could both potentially qualify for Elimination Chamber, which Alexa already has. Now Charlotte will have a qualifying match on Friday, and if she wins, she qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. And then there is the potential of maybe it comes down to Charlotte and Alexa, and you have something that we rarely see in wrestling, a possible double pin scenario, where Charlotte pins Alexa, Alexa pins Charlotte, both their shoulders are down, and the match ends not in a draw, but as a double pin, as in they both go to WrestleMania to face Jade Cargill, which would probably be the result of that if that actually happens. So you'd have a triple threat. And then the other thing I've heard is the possibility they add in Tiffany Stratton anyway, as in she wins the chamber, and then Charlotte and Alexa both go to Nick Aldis and say, well, listen, we never got a rematch for the tag titles. How about we make this a fatal four-way at WrestleMania against Jade? And I could see that possibly being another scenario that occurs. And I don't think it's the worst possible choice, but it would definitely be a little bit hard to book because you've got 4 people in this match. And it's like you've got to figure out how to get TV time for this and how to really build towards it. And the other thing I think about as well is Charlotte and Alexa were a great tag team. And they still are. I'm not saying they've broken up or anything like that, but I just think about the WWE Women's the Women's Tag titles. Sorry about that. Got caught up in my train of thought there. But what I think about with that is just those titles deserve to be showcased at WrestleMania, not just in a one team versus one team match, but a multiple team match, to really show how much the division has evolved, how much it's been fixed with new teams like Lash and Nia, Io and Rhea, the current tag champs, Bayley and Lyra, Sulruka and Zarya. Let's see. Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray. Fuck, I finally remember that name for once. But yeah, this is just kind of what I'm getting at. Is like, I feel like you could showcase those titles in a multiple team match. And you could even throw Charlotte and Alexa in there if you wanted to, depending on what you're going to do for Jade. But yeah, this is just kind of what I think of this whole situation here. And yeah, moving on. So let's Teacap AEW and talk about what's been going on lately. First, starting with Kyle Fletcher versus Tommaso Ciampa for the TNT Championship. Let's go back a little further. When I saw Ciampa show up in AEW, I was like, whoa, this is big. And then he wins his first match. And then he wins the TNT Championship on Collision from Mark Briscoe. And that was a really good match. Then he defends the title in a triple threat against Claudio Castagnoli and Roderick Strong. Geez, I really need to brush up on my AEW knowledge. In a triple threat match for the TNT Championship. And that was a really good match, too. And then comes in the former TNT champion, Kyle Fletcher, on Collision. And what he does is he says, I want my heroes welcome with my TNT Championship at Grand Slam Australia. And this leads to a match on Dynamite last week between Kyle Fletcher and Tommaso Ciampa for the TNT Championship. This was a hard-hitting match and a grueling match at that. And Ciampa, he looks better than ever. Man, I mean, his work in WWE was amazing, but this guy just looks like he's having fun and he's having great matches. I love that for this guy. He's just an amazing performer, and I wish nothing but the best for him. And the one gripe I really have with this match is just there was like a sequence of 4 or 5 kickouts, and I'm sitting there going, why would you do that, man? I get it. You're feeling the energy of the crowd. They're hyped. They want a good barn burner, which is what you already had before you had the sequence of 4 or 5 kickouts. And this is a massive pet peeve of mine as a wrestling fan. It's up there with finisher spamming, which I absolutely despise. But other than that, this was an amazing match between Kyle Fletcher and Tommaso Ciampa. And I actually thought Ciampa was about to escape with the TNT Championship. But Kyle Fletcher, he just does his thing and goes right to work. And in the end, 1, 2, 3, and new TNT champion, Kyle Fletcher. And I'll give credit where credit is due. Kyle Fletcher, I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. And you are absolutely amazing. You are certainly going to be a future AEW World Champion. Like, I highly recommend you watch a Kyle Fletcher match. Because this guy is just incredible. He is certainly for sure the proto star. This guy is just amazing. And the sky's the limit for him. And I hope his TNT title reign is going to be interesting. And we will see just how that all shakes out. But yeah, overall, great match. I give it a thumbs up. And also on Dynamite, we had another match to determine the number 1 contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, which are currently held by FTR. And the 3 teams in this match were the Young Bucks, the Rascals, and the wildcard team of, oh my god, it's Private Party. And I gotta admit, man, that's pretty crazy that Private Party is back. I'm not very familiar with them, but I've seen them a few times, and they're really good in the ring as well. But yeah, this was just a really fun match. And if I could really sum up this match in a song, it's Ain't It Fun by Paramore, because Ain't it fun just watching three tag teams just go out there and have a great match? Like, the crowd was loving it. I think we had a chance of the elite for the Young Bucks, and you also had Private Party chants. You also had Rascals chants. Like, the crowd was loving it, and that's just awesome. You gotta love when these three teams are just giving it everything they got, and the crowd is loving it. I think we even got "This is awesome" chants and "This is wrestling" chants. And those chants, they're usually the ones that determine if a match is bad or not. Well, at least from the live crowd point of view. Because then you have people online that complain about a match that people like seeing live and go, oh, well, this could have been better, that could have been better. Like, you know what I mean, guys, with that? But yeah, this was just a really good match. And um, I gotta admit, I had the Rascals winning this because they've just come to AEW like Tommaso Ciampa did. And it's kind of like, well, this would be a good opportunity to showcase a new tag team and really show people why this team is one to watch. I think it's Desmond Xavier is his name now in AEW. He was Wes Lee in WWE, and he was absolutely incredible to watch. I wish nothing but the best for this guy. He is just amazing. And I really hope this guy just gets a great run in AEW. He absolutely deserves it. But in the end, the team that wins this match is the Young Bucks. And as much as I love the Rascals, as much as I like Private Party, your guy loves a good super kick party. They gotta bring that theme back. It was legendary. The theme that goes, the elite, the elite, the elite, the elite super kick party, super kick party. Listen, we like to have fun on the show, so sometimes I'm gonna sing lyrics. But yeah, in the end, the Young Bucks win this match. They're now officially the number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And I thought this match between them and FTR was supposed to take place at Grand Slam Australia, but no, I got the date wrong. It's actually going to be at Revolution. And I think that'll be a really good match, because you got a lot of history there between the Bucks and FTR. And these are arguably two of the best tag teams in the world. Like, FTR, they are just a throwback. The way they look with their attire, the way they wrestle in the ring, they're basically a throwback tag team to the good old days of Southern Tag Team Wrestling, as some people would call it. But yeah, I think this will be a really good match at Revolution. I could really see the Young Bucks winning back the titles after everything they've been through, being EVPs and then being the Broke Bucks for a while, and having no theme music and no streamers, no pyro. That really sucked for them, but Matt and Nick, they're just a great tag team. I wish nothing but the best for them. So, I'd probably pick the Young Bucks at Revolution to win this match. But yeah, this match also gets a thumbs up. Amazing match. And now, folks, we get on to our main event of Dynamite. And this main event featured the AEW Women's World Championship, as Chris Statlander defended the AEW Women's World Championship against the Toxic Spider Tekla in no ordinary match, but possibly the first ever women's strap match. And I like how they had Bryan Danielson on commentary for this, because he was actually in a strap match himself, and it's one of my favorite matches ever, honestly, because it was just a grueling and hard-hitting match. Him against Bray Wyatt at the 2020 Royal Rumble, which is why, if you can see it, I've got the poster right there of the 2020 Royal Rumble. because that's one of my favorite events, honestly. And it was an amazing match between those two. And it's nice to see that. It was a really cool match. And the other really cool detail, when Chris Statlander makes her entrance, she's got a strap in her hand. And Danielson mentions this on commentary that it's the same strap from that match with Bray Wyatt. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Because, I like those little details. I like when you can tell history in the story there when you're doing a match like this. Anyways, getting into the match itself, Chris Statlander was dominating early on, and it just seemed like nothing was going to stop her from finally closing the book on Tekla and escaping with the AEW Women's World Championship. But then something happens at the midway point of the match. Tekla grabs the strap on the outside of the ring and hits Chris Statlander on the forehead, and she's busted open, blood just dripping down her face. And it kind of seemed like this was the window Tekla was looking for, because Chris Statlander wasn't exactly on her game in terms of her power game or her speed advantage. And they even mentioned this on commentary. I think it was Tony Schiavone that said it. He said, blood loss affects your cardiovascular endurance. And this is normally something that Chris Statlander has an advantage over everyone she's faced in the ring. But she kind of started to just slow down, and Tekla finally got the pace that she wanted and just started to roll in this match. And Chris Statlander, she fought valiantly. She went out on her shield in this match and almost retained the AEW Women's World Championship. But in the end, with that slower pace and the longer the match went on, it just favored Tekla. And towards the end of the match, here's how it would end. The Sisters of Sin would come down, distracting the referee. Tekla hits a spear. Hang on. The Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue, almost forgot that detail there. They come down, distract the referee. Tekla hits a spear on Chris Statlander, and then just wraps her up in the strap like a spider weaving a web. And it just makes it hard for Chris Statlander to be able to kick out. And then, after the referee is no longer distracted, Tekla hits a curb stomp. I am not calling it the stomp. That is the dumbest name I've ever heard of for a wrestling finisher. It is the curb stomp, and it will always be the curb stomp. Okay, rant over. But yeah, in the end, Tekla hits the curb stomp. 1, 2, 3, and new AEW Women's World Champion, the Toxic Spider, Tekla. And yeah, congratulations to Tekla. Her first title win in AEW. That's pretty awesome. And I gotta admit, this was a really good match. It was a really hard-hitting and just a brutal war overall. And I liked it. It was a good match. And then, this is not how we close out Dynamite, as the Sisters of Sin start beating down on a battered, bruised, and bloodied Chris Statlander. And then we hear music hit, and two people come sprinting down the entrance ramp. The newly formed Brawlin' Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor, as they come to the rescue of Chris Statlander. And it was kind of crazy, because Jamie Hayter, she's got a pipe in her hand, and Alex Windsor has a hammer in her hand. And I was like, whoa, this is about to get really serious. And they just start beating down on the Sisters of Sin and Tekla, and they just run away out of the ring. And you just see those two in the middle of the ring with Chris Statlander. And Jamie Hayter and Chris Statlander, they have their history. So I was kind of like, wow, okay, this is interesting that Jamie comes to the aid of Chris. So, that's pretty interesting there. And I gotta admit, I like the name The Brawlin' Birds, because it's a good name for Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. Can't wait to see what they do. Maybe they go after the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. And we'll talk about that another episode. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a good match, and honestly, a really good episode of Dynamite. So I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. Well, I think that's all the time and all the tea we have here on What's the Tea. I've been your host always at Owen the Man 316. You guys have been my lovely and amazing audience. And before I go, I'd like to make one more announcement. So I'm kind of deadlocked between two ideas for next episode. So I'm going to give power to the people here. And I'm going to post 2 polls. One on my YouTube community page, one on my Twitter page. And here are the options that you get to choose from. You have option A. I do my burn review on the 2026 Royal Rumble. Option B. I talk about AEW Grand Slam Australia. But that's not all. There's going to be a third option, option C. If you vote option C in the replies, you can write your idea, and I will consider doing it for the next episode. And I'm just going to say this, it's got to be appropriate. Let's keep it classy here on What's the Tea, okay? Like, I appreciate you guys, and I'll be really interested to see what ideas I get from the option C voters. So yeah, that's what you get to do. Go to my Twitter page at OwenTheMan316, or go to my YouTube community poll, and you will see that poll up there. And I will announce who won on the next episode, because that will be how you find out what the next episode will be. But yeah, that's really all I got to say here. So, as always, before I go, hope you guys have a great week. I will do my best to get this all edited and posted up on YouTube and Spotify, which is where you can get episodes of What's the Tea. But for now, as always, choose peace, choose love. And always, no matter how bad things are going in life, or no matter how rough of a week you may have had, always remember this. Or always remember to do this. Take a sip each day, make some time to take a sip of positivity. And that's really the tea on that. Bye for now. Have a great one, guys.